Friday, February 28th, last day of February. We got a lot going on. Here we are in the day after the new moon, so the final stage of the dark moon phase where the moon sits in darkness as the sun and a moon are in alignment in conjunction. Today we see this alignment of outer and inner self conjunct both Mercury and Saturn, all in the sign of Pisces. We also have a trine with Mars in Cancer and a sextile with Uranus in Taurus. So a lot going on today. The sun and moon, this new moon in Pisces, is a very liminal time. It is a time of transition where we stand between the energies of endings and beginnings. Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, the mutable water sign. As the last sign of the zodiac, it accompanies all the energies of the zodiac. It is the energies of the end of the cycle. Yet when cycles end, new beginnings start. So really it's this liminal phase of endings and beginnings, the time between the ending and the beginning, where we wrap things up and move into this energy of abundance, spiritual abundance, this energy of duality, the two fish, one black, one light, the qualities, the polarities of darkness and lightness, this energy of needing to see the dark in order to understand the light, and needing to see the light to understand the dark. These fish symbolizing the journey, both moving in different directions, they still end up at the same place. So it is about the journeys in their whole, this energy of change that leads us to where we stand, and this acceptance of the present moment, knowing that we need to work through our cycles in order to see where we stand. In order to move into new beginnings, we must look at the cycle that we have worked through, that we have walked through, the journeys we have made. As the mutable water sign, it is about changing our emotional waters, changing the way we use our intuition, changing the way that we look at our inner aspects of self. Water relates to the emotions, but not only the emotions, it relates to our intuitive self, our inner knowing, and really that inner guidance that we all hold. A very spiritual card that connects us with our understanding of the divine, and how we see the world around us is part of our belief systems, and that our belief systems and what we hold inside influences the way that we see the outside world. So the new moon in Pisces, the alignment of the sun and moon in Pisces, has been showing us the energies of our self in completion. Conjunctions are when the planetary bodies are in alignment and these energies blend together. They balance and become one, creating a unity. The sun, our source of being, represents our outer self in the way that we shine into the world. The moon, our inner perceptions, represents our inner self, our emotional self, our intuitive knowing self, the self that only we know. Together, these two aspects create our whole self. Our outer self and our inner self in alignment is an important part of the lunar cycle that allows us to come back to our wholeness. In a place of darkness, we are able to see where we shine. We're able to see where our growth has come from, and we're able to initiate new beginnings. So this new moon in Pisces has been asking us to get into alignment, to see our cycle as it is, and to act with intent in order to move forward into a new beginning. Mercury is the planet of communication and messages. It is the closest planetary body to us here on Earth. And as a personal planet, it influences us all on a personal, individual level. Mercury represents our communication forms, the way we communicate our messages, the tone we use, the words we use, the way we convey our stories, and the way that we see the messages and information around us, what we take in and process, and how those things influence and guide the way that we think. Mercury is very connected to our mind, the way we process things in order to communicate those messages going forward. While in Pisces, Mercury is wrapping up the cycle that we have been working through, wrapping up its voyage through the zodiac signs, allowing us to see where our communications are influenced by our emotions and where our emotions influence our communications, where they influence the way that we see the world, our understanding of the things around us, allowing us to understand how our storytelling influences the ways that we turn up in the world, the ways that we see ourselves, and asking us to end the stories we have been telling to allow us to begin a story anew. When I talk about storytelling and the way that we tell our story, this is how we talk about ourselves, how we talk about our limitations and restrictions, how we talk about our goals, how we talk about our achievements, how we talk about our strengths. These are all a matter of the way that we see ourselves and the understanding of how we value those aspects of being. And a lot of the time, our storytelling is influenced by how we compare ourselves to others, how we compare ourselves to societal norms, how we compare ourselves to the messages we're receiving from the outside world. Mercury in Pisces is asking us to see our story in a different way, to see how we can communicate in different ways that will allow us to balance in our wholeness, will allow us to communicate ourselves in our wholeness. So this alignment with the sun and the moon and Mercury is asking us to get our words and our thoughts behind ourselves in our wholeness. Aligning these three energies together, aligning this outer reflection of ourself, the inner reflection of ourself, and the ways that we communicate and turn up, and to get them all on the same page, allowing us to see ourselves in new ways and communicate this new alignment of self, making sure that our message is coming from a place of authenticity, a place of integrity, giving us a chance to change the messages that we are giving out. Saturn is a social planet. Social planets influence us socially. So the ways that we are in our outside world, the ways that we turn up in our outside world, the ways that we interact with our outside world, the ways that we interact with others. Saturn is a planet of structures and boundaries. It is the taskmaster. It is the energy of getting things done. It is the energies of responsibility, accountability, the structures, routines, and disciplines that we establish to build foundational growth. It is the foundations on which we stand and how we act from those foundations. While Saturn has been in Pisces, it has been about teaching us to accept flexibility and change into the ways that we turn up, knowing that we can still achieve our goals by doing things in different ways, and really has allowed us to connect to ourselves on an inner emotional level, seeing that some days our energy levels are going to be different and the ways that we turn up and take action are going to be different, giving us this flexibility to turn up as we are in each moment, and allowing us to see that the most important thing is turning up. The most important thing is taking those small steps of action and building those structures and that accountability to bring things into being, showing us that our emotional integrity is a very important part of allowing us to turn up for ourselves and turn up in the right energy. If we are overrun by our emotions, we may not necessarily be turning up in the energy that we want to be turning up in. We may not be acting in the ways that we want to be acting. So taking that accountability that sometimes we will be overrun by emotions, sometimes we will walk through our emotional waters. That's part of our cycle, and it's about balancing those aspects and seeing them for what they are, allowing us to be sensitive to our emotional self, but knowing that we have the ability to continue to turn up regardless, continue to take the steps forward and the actions that we need, and allowing us to see that these lessons that we learn can be brought into our foundational core. They can allow us to see ourselves in new ways, and from this new way of seeing will give us the responsibility to be accountable to ourselves. So this alignment of our outer, inner selves with our communication and our ability to turn up and act, our accountability, is really giving us this powerful cosmic connection, this powerful alliance of energy, this powerful alignment of energies that will allow us to get behind our actions, get behind ourselves, and take accountability for who we are and the messages that we're giving out. For you are an ever-changing work in progress, an ever-changing work of success. You are ever-changing, and it's important to know that the changes that you make on a foundational level are going to influence the ways that you communicate. This alignment, this conjunction today is allowing us to take ourselves in our wholeness and communicate and act in new ways, allowing us to open up a new cycle. And coming off the new moon, it's a perfect opportunity for us to make these changes that are going to align us in the messages that we give out and the way that we want to move forward, and give us a chance to be responsible for ourselves, to hold ourselves accountable and see where we are not acting on the words that we are saying, allowing us to walk the talk and talk our walk, aligning the ways that we say things and how we actually turn up. We can say we're going to do things till the end of time, but if we don't actually take those actions to move forward, we're not going to bring things into creation. We can feel that we are going to take actions, but if we don't communicate those actions out into the world, we're not going to hold ourselves accountable. So this conjunction is allowing us to hold ourselves accountable to the actions that we want to take and the messages that we want to put forward, and giving us the perfect cosmic energies, the perfect alignment of energies to allow ourselves in our wholeness to change the way we're communicating and turning up in the world, allowing us to wrap up the cycles that we have been walking through and step into this liminal energy of the last lunar cycle, the ending of the astrological year, ready for the beginning of the new astrological year to come. To help support this alignment of energies, we see a trine with Mars in Cancer. Now, Mars is a planet of action, energy, focus, drive, how we take our energy and put it into action. So this trine is really supporting this alignment of energies that we've been talking about with Saturn to help us to get behind our words and take actions. It is pushing us into the energy of motion where we make things happen. Cancer is the cardinal water sign. Cardinal signs are all about taking initiation, moving things forward. So this alignment of energy, this blending of energies, this support of our personal planet of Mars is really going to help us push ourselves into action, push us into the new messages that we have to give and the new disciplines that we want to put in place, and really giving us this energy to establish things in our home, in ourself, that are going to allow us to walk through this cycle in a powerful way that's going to enable us to step into new beginnings. Liminal times are times of new beginnings. They are times of endings and beginnings. Those things go together. It is an intermediate stage where we can use this magical time to put things into motion. And Mars here is telling us it's time to put things into motion, to bring things into being. Cancer representing our home. Our home is our body. Our home is our alignment of outer and inner self on an energetic level. That is our home. So this trine with Mars is asking us to act for ourselves, to act from this place of being, from this new understanding of self, to enable us to move into the structures and disciplines that are going to guide us and are going to allow us to change. So this trine energy with Uranus and Taurus is really going to allow us to nourish things into being. And how we nourish things into being is that we make changes, we accept changes, we find our freedom to act and be. Uranus is the planet of change. It is the planet of transformation. It is the planet of being yourself and having the freedom to be authentic. And to understand that authenticity is simply being yourself. It is being yourself in all the changing forms that you are, understanding that you are not yesterday's self, that you are a new self each day. For you have learnt new messages, you have taken new actions, you have worked through new cycles, and from those steps forward, you're able to change and grow. Uranus really is an energy of growth. Change is also a very liminal energy because it is all about ending cycles and beginnings. So really, the planetary bodies are telling us it's time to end cycles and step into new ones and showing us that we are supported. We have the energies around us to allow us to nourish change into being and to take actions that will allow us to protect ourselves, that will allow us to expand our being, but will also nourish us into these energies of change, changing the ways that we turn up, changing the ways that we tell our story, changing the ways that we initiate the cycles we want to work through, how we can set our intentions and our goals, and then how we can take intentional action to move forward, building routines and disciplines that are going to help communicate ourselves into being, communicating our goals that we are setting into being, and allowing us to walk through our journey in a balanced way, knowing that we are forever cycling, we're forever nourishing, we're forever making these alignments and having the support of ourself in many different forms. We are supported by our actions. We are supported by our freedom and our change. And with these supports standing with us in our cosmic energy, we're going to be able to align into this new movement forward, align into these new actions and the new messages that we want to bring forward. A very powerful day to set those intentions with the lunar cycle to enable us to move forward. We're still standing in that new moon energy, that energy of new beginnings, that energy of wish fulfillment, that energy of planting seeds that are going to be nourished into growth, allowing us to bring things into being. Uranus and Taurus has been about grounding in our self, grounding in our freedom to change. And really today is showing us that we are grounded in our ability to align and change, in our ability to communicate from our authentic self, in our ability to take the actions that will hold us accountable to the goals that we are working towards. How can you step forward today? What small steps can you take that are going to help nourish yourself into being, nourish this new cycle? Maybe starting some new routines that are going to support the way you want to communicate, the way you want to turn up, the way you want to be in yourself, in your home, and enable you to really move into this last lunar cycle, this eclipse season, this energy of transformation, shifting us in new ways and shifting us into new ways that are really going to ground us in our being, allow us to tell our stories in new ways, and allow us to turn up for ourselves. Beautiful energies that are going to really wrap up this new moon beginning, this new beginning of our lunar cycle as we move into the momentum of growth, into the waxing cycle where we're going to be motivated to nourish and grow our goals. We're going to be motivated to turn up and take accountability for the actions that we take and the ways that we put ourselves out there.